University and the Arizona Automotive Institute, Dave's a former A-level master tech that has solid commitment and integrity to the industry. Now, a seasoned certified master level coach, trainer, and seminar facilitator to business owners, managers, service advisors, and techs, Dave's leadership skills are highly transferable and being used in many other management arenas in the marketplace in the US and Canada. Dave's purpose is to support and transform business, transform lives in the marketplace, and work alongside those that truly want to create abundant, cohesive, and sustainable top performing teams. His jazz is that he gets to help others connect with their authentic self so they can live the life they were created for, and that your business carries that extension of you. So thank you, Dave, for being here. We're excited to hear what you have to say today.
Yeah, so I just need to have the ability to share my screen and share screen. There it is. It's a little bit different button than my GoToMeeting is. So let me know when you guys can see the ROI empowerment. Awesome. I got one thumbs up, so one person saw it. That's cool. So it's a pleasure to be back in the Northwest. The commute's a long drive for me right now. So this is a great way to be back up in the Northwest. I appreciate being in a room full of people who are forward thinkers and want to take themselves on. And today we're going to talk about ROI empowerment, return on investment. And I'll start with this, a story that I can't give you the source. I'm just going to have you, I'm just going to quote something that I heard about 10 years ago. American Express did a survey worldwide on what is the best investment you could put money into and get the maximum return in the shortest amount of time. They looked at stocks, they looked at bonds, they looked at businesses, they looked at franchises, they looked at gold and silver, money exchange. They looked at real estate, they looked at pretty much every financial platform, what was going to be the best ROI. And when they got done, they came to a very interesting conclusion that the best ROI on this planet that you can have is to invest in yourself. That if you invest in personal development, leadership development, you invest in those things in yourself, you'll have the greatest return of investment because it's a permanent return because you enhance yourself, became a better bankable me, so to speak. And that, well, today we're going to look at some ROI empowerment and an Excel tool. And at the end, you'll get an opportunity to get the tool. I would encourage you with everything that's going on. And the number one constraint in any business, the number one constraint I see in auto repair shop is fear. And when you have a pandemic happen, and and the cash flow takes a little bit of a dive or a big dive, and then you have the riots, and you've got all this stuff going on, it's really easy to want to pull back. And so as you look at the future, build a hope and future that's not fear-based. Build one that makes sense, and do your due diligence. Reinvest in yourself and reinvest in your team and in your business right now. And I like to do things like reduce it to the ridiculous. So we're going to talk a little bit about some ROI and really the purpose of why you would do it. It's really about getting to your goal, getting from point A to point B. I want more cash flow, I want more sales, I want more GP dollars, hours per pair order. All the things, the metrics that we're looking for. I want a more cohesive team. I want to be a better me. Whatever that looks like, there's at some point where you're at now is your A. And you want to have momentum and motivation to get to B, because if you don't, the crevasseness of that situation is huge. So as we look at ROI, it's return on investment. I'm going to put something in, what am I going to get back out? And in the automotive world, actually any business, it really break it down into three models. And we're going to spend specifically time in the production side of things. So if you break your business down into quality systems, leadership, and employees, the systems are broken down into a selling system, management system, production system. And we're going to look at the ROI in those arenas today. All of these are broken down into three, but what's your ROI when you hire somebody? What's the process, the training, the team match? What's the ROI that you're going to be you as a leader, as a motivator? How much you're going to spend in you leading your team? What would be the return on investment? Some of that's really easy to measure, and some of that can be kind of intangible, a little bit more difficult. So the ROI understandings is, number one, is that when did it pay back the initial investment? So ROI is not just a percentage number. That's one definition. That's the number two definition. But when did it pay itself back? But when did it get to the point where I paid off that initial investment and now it continues to earn? And that's what number two then says, okay, how much did it pay back compared to the initial investment? So during that time period that I'm trying to measure, how much did it pay back? Did I have over 100%? Did it pay for itself? Or did I have less? What were they? And then you get the chance to look at things, what caused that? So as we look at an ROI calculator, I'm now going to switch screens to an Excel. And we're going to look at a couple different levels of ROI tools. So this Excel tool, there's 3 worksheets to it. And the first one covers basically equipment. And I want to let you know that this thing has grown organically from shop owners like you that have given me feedback. It used to be I just had one piece of equipment. One guy said, well, I'm going to invest in 3 or 4. I want to see them side by side. So then I kept adding more columns. So a lot of the tools that I have were grown organically. So let's talk about, let's say a piece of flushing equipment. And I'm a big proponent for BG. Not saying the other chemicals don't work. I've just seen the results of it. So they have a power stirring flushing machine, approximately, I can't speak for them, approximately about $3,000 range. That
Hey,
can
Dave. sound, Dave, I hate to cut you off. I don't believe that we can see the Excel spreadsheet.
We can't.
We still see your access or your.
Okay. Let's do that.
Just reshare your screen.
I just did.
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so again, there's spots for up to 5 pieces of equipment. But we're just going to look at one, and we're going to look at the flushing equipment. So before I look at flushing equipment and the cost of that, I want to know what's the thinking here and here around preventative maintenance in my shop. If I'm going to buy a power stirring service flushing equipment, does my team even believe in it? Don't get the equipment if you don't have a belief system in your building. Otherwise, you're going to invest in this. And you're not going to get a good ROI because the influencing factor was people don't believe in it. Techs don't believe in it. The advisors don't believe in it. And possibly because of that, your customers don't believe in it. So getting some of the servicing equipment, fluid exchange equipment, you may also need to invest in some training that goes with it as well. So let's just reduce it to the ridiculous. So let's say approximately a power stirring equipment is $3,000 for that. And let's say I do an average price of a service is $125.99. Now, I'm not suggesting any of these numbers are what you should make your rates. I want to have my own disclaimer in there so I'm in compliance. These are just purely examples. So let's say it's 125. You might have more for European, you might have less, it's just ballpark. And let's say during that time that we've allowed for that the tech is going to cost us, say, $22.50. And you know what? The kit is going to cost us maybe 35 bucks. Okay? So the total cost on that is going to be 57. Well, if I sold it at 125 and it cost me 57, that means gross profit was about $68. Is that making sense? I can't see everybody, so hopefully that is, which means if I want to pay that off in 12 months, I need to do 43.8 services. So that $3,000 piece of equipment will now start to seem affordable. I need to do 44 services. Well, that means if I divide that 43 by 12, I need to do 3.7 services a month to make that happen for 12 months. That means I need, an average number of working days is 21, so I need to sell 0.2 services a day. Kind of reduces it to the ridiculous, and you'll have it paid off in 12 months. Now, obviously, if you upped in any month instead of 3.7, you did it in 7.4, now you pay it off in 6 months. You get a chance to see that a high piece of equipment, a high-priced piece of equipment, may not be that much. Let's take a quick look at an alignment rack. Say it's 50 grand for an alignment rack. And I know that could be low, could be high. I just threw a number up there. Let's say you charge $89.95. Personally, if I was your coach, we would have conversations of why you're stuck at $89.95, which I see in a lot of different shops. Let's say you're there. I'll deal with where people are at. And let's say it costs 30 bucks for that alignment to happen. And I put a spot down here in the tool. If there were any if that equipment had a filter or so off and periodic, you had to put maintenance into it, parts into it, whatever, let's spot into that. So if you charge 89 and it costs you 30, you made 59 bucks. So in a 12-month period, I need to do 834. And so if I take 834 divided by 12, that means I need to do 70 alignments. 21.1, I need to do 3.3 alignments a day. So now it seems kind of reasonable, right? And that's to pay it off in 12 months. If you wanted to pay it off in 24 months, great. If you got 12 or 24 months, same as cash financing, maybe you want to do that. And just realize you don't have an interest charge coming on that. That purely is 50 grand. So that is just a quick calculator to make expensive things look least expensive. I'm going to jump to now office equipment. So let's say you had to upgrade your computers. You know, when I have my shop, I had Mitchell, and I kept having conflicting things. And finally, I got somebody at Mitchell to finally agree that, hey, if you have the same network card, the same motherboard, the same everything seems to work out better. So I went out and bought 5 computers, cabinets, and we built computers. Well, that investment was about 5 grand. Monthly car count is about 150, 1,800 a year. That means my GPRO increase needed to be 2.78 more per repair. I'm at 2.3 hours per repair. I just divide that in there. If I raise my labor rate by $1.21, I've got my computers paid for in 12 months with new GP dollars coming in the door. And there isn't a customer on this planet that can't handle another $1.20 in labor rate increase. Again, not saying you should increase. I'm just saying this is a suggestion to be compliant with. Let's say you wanted to add air conditioning on your building. What would that mean? Well, here's a $30,000 example, same RO count, same everything, all said and done. You need to raise your labor rate by $7 to pay it off in 12 months. Well, you know what? Maybe I want to pay it off in 3 years and not necessarily 1, and then you divide that by 3. So when you reduce it to the ridiculous, these huge numbers, they don't look so big. It takes kind of the fear away of things. And then you got to ask yourself, because now the second question is, can I actually sell my labor for that much more? Can I actually sell, when I come back to these services, can I actually sell that? What do I need to sell that? And then empower yourself. And a lot of times, that's training. And training can be an intangible thing. It has tangible results for sure, but training is dealing with, believe it or not, people's belief systems, how they fear. They fear about a price, fear customers. A lot of different emotions come into play when it comes into training. So let's talk about technician training. So let's say you invested in a technician $3,500 per year for training, and you have a monthly sales of 85 grand, and you're a GP at 62. If you're not there, call me. We can help you out with that. So your monthly GP is 52, just under 53 grand. Okay, and then the employee, based on the training, let's say by chance he increased by 3% his ability to produce. Okay, that's a new GP of 1,500 bucks. Guess what? In 2.2 months, you just paid for that $3,500 worth of training. That's a great investment. You invest $3,500 and it breaks even by the end of the year. The annual GP is 18. You take out the cost of the class, 35. That's 15 grand. That's a 442% return on investment. And we as business owners, as shop owners, we need to ask, we're not New York Stock Exchange brokers or major real estate moguls, unless you're like Ed Cushman or something like that, where you have investment properties. But for us to go out and invest money, where can we invest to get a 12-month return of, and spend 3,500, get 15 grand back, 442. Well, if you go to like advisors or managers, or you do them all together, including in team building, by the time you get all said and done, your return on investment from training should be somewhere between 400 to 3,000% return on investment. And here's what I challenge, and I put this out there to my clients. Your training instructor, they should say, hey, our typical return on investment in dollars is this. Our typical return on investment percentage is this. And we have customized plans. We don't have a cookie cutter plan that we force everybody to go through. It's customized based on where you're at, what you need. You've already had training. Maybe you don't need all of the training. Maybe you need some of it. We do that. But ask your trainer, hey, what's your typical return on investment. I'm going to invest in you a certain amount of dollars. When will I have it paid back? And what's my return on investment as far as what more am I going to make? Because I'm not doing this to break even in training. When I sent my guys to training, when they came back, I expected higher results. I expected them to produce more. And there's some trainings they went to the class and they said, Dave, this was not, I can't use any of this stuff. And unfortunately, I had to eat that class. And I learned, okay, some classes I'm just not going to do. Was it good that he got to go there and connect and network and that? Yeah. But it didn't have its full ROI. So when it comes to ROI and equipment, building upgrades and office equipment and training investment, do your due diligence. Ask the trainer what it's going to be. The last area I want to do, and I'm going to see, let me know if this switches. I'm going to switch to a PDF and new share. I think I'm getting the hang of it. Did you guys see this new one?
Yeah, we can see that, Dave.
Okay, perfect. So this is a little bit different. This is the bottom of a very intense incentive plan for, say, a service advisor. And so we're going to look at this is that the original gross profit that the shop is doing is maybe 82 grand. We implement some really good training, service advisor, team building, communications, business systems, tried and true proven systems. And let's say we get them to 96,000. And part of the way we got them there is we put a little fire under them. We gave an incentive that, hey, by the way, if we get to 96,000, and this has 2 advisors in it, that means each advisor is going to get approximately $1,600 more. And I have owners tell me, you're going to pay him $1,600 more? Yeah, but let's do the math. Let's do the ROI. I increased $14,000. I paid him $1,600 with expense burden load in there, another $800. So it cost me $4,000. It cost me $4,000. And so many shop owners, they focus on this cost, which they see as a problem, and they don't see it as an investment. So you spend $4,000 and you get to keep $10,000 of that $14,000 increase. That's a 357% return on investment. Your people are happier, the business is stronger. So let's say, gosh, they really like that. So we build another tier, and now they get to 110. And now, instead of 1,600, they get $3 grand a month. Can you imagine your advisors? If you truly were doing an average of 82 grand and you jumped $28,000 in GP, oh my gosh, and they got $3 grand a piece for that, they would be elated for that. You would love to write that check to them. By the time you get burden load, it's going to cost you $7,500, and you would love to write that check because when you spent 75, you returned 20 grand. And that's a 370% return on investment. All the way up to even here when you get up to a shop and it's not uncommon, we take them from 82 to 124 in a short amount of time. This kind of return on investment still yields a 400%, almost 400% return on investment. Yep, cost you 10 grand. Your people are blessed. They have a brighter hope and future in front of them. They love coming to work. They don't have the financial fear that's in front of them. And you get to keep 31 grand of that. The general rule of thumb is I've been coaching and watching and monitoring. If your incentive plans don't give you a minimum about 300% return on investment, it's probably not a good incentive plan. We go through a deep forecasting financial, and then we match the incentive plan based on your current model plus the increase, and then we customize it for you. So all that to say is that if you're going to invest in your business, make sure that you're actually putting a thought into it, due diligence into it, and measure what that return can actually be. Okay, I'm actually going to go back to another screen now, so give me 1 second. Let me know when you can see the ROI calculator again. Oh, I may have clicked the wrong button. I'll be right there. So now do you see the ROI calculator?
Yep.
Awesome. So with that, just for being here and being part of this, I'm going to open up to questions in just a minute. I'm going to actually be able to send you this calculator. So if you text to 22828, and I have an abbreviation for an association map, but you type in ASCCA WB for webinar. If you type that in and you enter your email, it'll prompt you through 1 or 2 prompts, and then you'll get to download this tool for free, and you get to use this tool and have it real life. Hey, I'm going to invest in this. I'm going to invest in that. So with that being said, so I'll open it up to questions now. Does anybody have any questions around ROI? It could be what we covered or something different you're thinking about. I don't know if everybody has to be unmuted or.
Yeah, you can come off mute. Just hit your mute button and come off mute and ask Dave the question. Or you could do it on the chat.
I will need to see. I've got my full screen, so I'm not sure how I can see the chat. So I'm gonna escape out of this, and hopefully you can still see it there. I still can't see the chat.
Yeah, if any comes up on the chat, Dave, I'll let you know.
Hey, Leon,
Does anybody have any
yourself. Hey, Leon, you were on mute. I saw you talking.
Yes, I'm off of mute now. What was the question?
Did you have a question, Leon?
Oh, no, I was just trying to text. I was just talking to my daughter here. She's texting it in for me. I'm actually in Southern Illinois as I speak. Just doing this on my vacation.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you for participating.
Well, we'd like to thank Dave for coming on and giving your presentation today, Dave. Thank you so much. We'll give everybody just a few seconds if they have any more questions. One of the things that popped up that just came up to me was information on the PPP program, and I'll share a little bit of that. The bill got signed last night or passed on to the president today, and it extends the coverage period for the PPP program from 8 weeks to 24 weeks, reduced the 75% payroll requirements, and it will extend the loan terms from 2 years to 5 years at 1% interest. It's going to extend beyond June 30th rehiring deadline. It's going to remove limits on loan forgiveness for small businesses and nonprofits that are unable to rehire employees. It's going to allow payroll taxes deferred for the PPP recipients, and then extend the period for when the business can apply for loan forgiveness. So those are all some positive things that are happening with the PPP program. And I'd like to thank everyone for being on the call today. And next week we have Jennifer. And Jennifer, you're on the line, right? You want to come off mute for a second? And just you're going to be talking about 5 steps to get your message by video.
Yep.
By video this next week. You want to give us a little rundown on that?
Well, I know that video is something that's super powerful to get your message across. I've also talked with several shop owners that know that they need to do it, but they're a bit intimidated as to how to do it, what to say, that kind of stuff. So I'm going to give you some really great applicable tips and tricks that you can use immediately after the meeting to get more video and visibility to your shop. So be sure to bring your smartphones with you. We're all on computers, so that's kind of helpful, but I'll be showing you around some stuff. But yeah, I'm really excited to be part of it, and I was really appreciating today's presentation. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for being on, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Stay safe, and thanks
I
again,
would have a
Dave.
comment, Jeff. I have a comment.
Yep.
I would have a comment yet on the best thing we heard today, and I would strongly and totally think this is the best thing Dave said, is that the best investment is in yourself, because there is nothing greater that I know of than to invest in ourselves, because we actually make all our decisions. It doesn't matter about the equipment. The equipment is another thing that's just a small percentage of investing in ourselves, because all the great decisions that we do, it comes from when we invested in ourselves. That's how we actually improve. And Zig Ziglar was famous for saying those same words, and I totally agree with this. So I want to say thank you, Dave, very, very much for this overview. I strongly support it.
Great, and we've got a question from Montana to everybody, and this would be to you, Dave, or anybody that has a question. Is there a golden rule that a shop should aim for our ROI percentage? Example, parts should be at 35%, et cetera, et cetera. Hope that makes sense.
Yes, and so gross profit, it's another form of ROI, but we typically don't call it ROI. And so that particular parts margin or labor margin or sublet, those have gross profit margins, and there are targets for that. And there's a lot of thinking around each one of those. And so the suggested there of parts at 35%, that's actually quite low. That's usually what the vendor will give you, because they think that you should be able to survive on 35 points based on their list price. But that thinking doesn't serve a shop very well. And so in our coaching and training, we dive into what makes sense for you for a benchmark perspective, and how do you walk you up and through that. And so that's kind of a longer, deeper, we have a whole 8-hour, actually sometimes even a day and a half class of forecasting and budgeting, of really going through and dialing in those numbers specific to your market, specific to your business, that makes sense for you. I hope that answered that.
Great. Okay.
Awesome. And I see some of you challenge, you put the text in there. If you let your text autofill your email address, sometimes it doesn't accept it. But if you have to manually type your whole email address out, it typically will accept it. And somebody wants to know, is this a recorded? Will they re-podcast this? Or?
It was recorded, so Brunel will put that up on our website.
Awesome. I mean, I should have paid attention to what I was saying, so it was all good.
Great. Well, any other questions, anyone?
So if I could leave with a final statement, how many ASA association members does it take to change a light bulb? Just one, but the light bulb has to want to change.
All right, and we'll leave at that. All right, thanks everyone.
All right, have a great day.
All right, see you next week.
All right, have fun storming the castle.